Today we're going to be going over how to set up a C-stand, and C-stands are essential for any studio photographer, videographer, producer, whoever, assistant, production assistant, anything like that. If you're working on a video set, photo set, you're going to need to know how to set up a C-stand. I remember the first time I was assisting for Tony Long, a photographer in Boston, and he had me set up some C-stands and a backdrop for him, and I had no idea what I was doing. It was definitely an embarrassing experience, but it was also a really good learning experience. And I remember coming home and just going on Google and YouTube, like how to set up C-stand, how to do all this other studio photography type stuff, because I was so inexperienced. And I definitely think that's what led me to kind of make this video, because I want to help everybody out there that's looking for, studio tips and things like that. And a C-stand is the perfect spot to start. So today we're just going to be going over how to set up a C-stand for, whatever you're going to be using it for, whether it's a gripping thing for your backdrop, if you're going to rig a light to it, or just to hold up a reflector or diffuser. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Okay, so this is the C-stand when it's fully set up, as you can see. I'm gonna break it down and show you how to break it down and set it back up in a second. But basically, this is a C-stand. It's short for Century Stand. Not sure why, but I got this on B&H. You can order them there too as well. I'll link them below in the description. But it came with everything: the main rod, the turtle base. It didn't come with the sandbag, that was separate, but I definitely recommend getting the sandbag as well, because that's definitely essential. It came with kind of like the rigging rod and then the bar cramp as well. So you can really do a lot with this. Not only can you mount a camera on it, you can mount a light, hang a backdrop, do anything really with it. So it's a super essential piece of equipment. Went ahead and broke the whole C-stand apart, and now we're just going to go over the individual parts and then actually build it all up. So basically, this is where you're going to want to start. This is the turtle base, or just the three-leg base that you're going to want to start with. To actually get it unlocked, I was really confused at first and didn't know how to. Some of them are different. Some of them have like a screw top. For this one, it's the impact C-stand. You're just gonna pull up on this little lever right here, and then all of the legs will kind of just like ring out like that. Then it will just automatically lock into place once all the legs are like equally separated, which is super helpful. And then once you have that, just set it on the ground, get all your other pieces ready. The next main piece that you're going to be working with is just the main rod. This is going to have your levers that are going to help extend it up super high, and at the bottom it's just going to keep everything super locked in place. So for this part, super self-explanatory. Kind of just put it in the base. You're going to want to loosen this screw on the base, on the turtle base first, and then go ahead and just place that in, and then bring this back and get it super tight. You don't want this to, all right. So now you got the main rod connected to the turtle base, and now it's starting to get a little bit heavy. It's fully set up like that. Right now, I'll usually put the sandbag on the main leg, and why you're going to do that is so it doesn't fall over or anything like that. A, while you're setting it up, and then B, while you're actually shooting. And I'm going to go over in a little bit kind of some just like C-stand basics once we actually get it set up. But let's just keep setting everything up. If you were going to be mounting a camera or a light on the C-stand, this would actually be good to go for the most part. You'll probably just need to get some sort of mounting plate or something for your camera on here. For a light, some lights will just go right on top of it, and you just screw it on, similar to this mechanism. However, for the sake of the video, I am gonna also put the kind of like rigging rod and the grip head onto the actual C-stand just to show you what that looks like. So to do that, you're gonna just wanna, with this, it's kind of confusing because there's two spots that I guess the C-stand could go into. And basically the spot that's right here that has different like little circles along the side of it, that's gonna be for the gripping rod just because it's super, super tight. And this other side is gonna be for mounting the grip head to the actual C-stand. So let's just go ahead and do that now. You need to loosen up this screw before doing so. Place that on. And I usually like to line up all the screws, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that right now. Make sure that's super, super tight. Perfect. All right, so that's in. And now to actually get the gripping, bar onto here, you're gonna loosen the other side where those little circles, kind of like the little circle designs were or whatever. And you can really just stick it through the holes so that it can come out the other side. And then as you can see now, when you loosen it, you can either put it down low or you can put it up high. You can go super far out, or if you need to, you can just do a little bit. Either way, it's super, super convenient for gripping things, and it's really like can be a studio assistant if you don't have anybody to help you out. You can have this hold your diffuser or your reflector or your blackout or whatever you need to have if you don't have somebody to do it for you. So this is the actual setup of the C-stand. Once you're here, you're pretty much good to do whatever you need with it. Something I want to go over is right here. If you're trying to turn the gripping bar left to right, don't just force it. You really shouldn't be forcing anything with this. If something feels like really hard to pull, it's because it's locked, not just because it's tight and will come out. If you need to move this kind of side to side, you're gonna undo the top lever and you can go side to side. Once you have it where you need it, make sure you tighten it. That's also gonna be the same lever that pulls it all the way off. So just make sure, you're always tightening that back up because you don't want it to be loose. Same goes for these two side screws. If you wanna lift it up, then you just undo this and you pull up on that. And this will go up, really far. I definitely recommend starting with the highest one so that you don't have to do, both of them or whatever. Unless you need to, but I'll just pull this back down for now. Same goes for the other lever. Once you have that unscrewed, then it'll just go up. But like I said, always start with the top, or else, once it gets up too high, then I can't, you're not gonna be able to reach all the way up there after to make it go higher without bringing it back down. And then the last point that I really, really, really want to stress that I learned when I first started shooting is it has to do with kind of, I guess, just like the direction or the basics on how to actually use the C-stand. So when I first started shooting like studio photography and stuff like that, I helped out a few photographers and I always saw C-stands. They were always around and I never really I never knew what they were for, I knew what they were for, but I didn't know exactly like how to use them, and I just didn't know enough about them like I wish I did. And the one main tip that I actually learned when it comes to C-stands is how you should use them. So for example, you have 3 legs at the bottom, one being the biggest, one being a middle leg, and one being a small leg. And essentially, when you're shooting in the studio, you never want to have, a piece of equipment fall on a person, which is why you're gonna want to make sure that you get the sandbags. That's tip number 1. But on a further note, if you don't have the sandbags, here's the point that I want to illustrate. You always want to have the biggest leg facing towards your subject, right? So say that this were a light and I had the light attached to either the edge of the gripping plate, or the gripping bar, or if I just had it on the C-stand, right? I want to face this leg towards the client or towards the subject, because that weight is going to hold more, or that leg is going to hold more weight than the little leg is. So to show this in real time, if I push this way, with the big leg forward, then it's just going to move forward, right? It's not going to tip over and fall on anybody. It's just going to go forward. But if I do the same thing and I have the little leg facing the client or facing the subject, right, then it has potential to fall over, especially if it's really, if something really big hits it. And that's where things get a little sticky, because obviously the goal is not to hit anything or, to have everything properly balanced, but you never know when something is going to be, heavier than you predicted and it just pulls the C-stand over. So always make sure you remember about having a sandbag for one, and for two, you want to make sure that you have the biggest leg facing your subject to make sure nothing falls. Now that you have the sandbag, if I push it, you can see it barely even moves, which is what you want. That's ideal. For me, when it comes to gripping and anything with C-stand equipment, it's all about having the most perfect, lock. And even for this, I hate having that much movement, but sometimes you just have to deal with it. Making sure everything tight when it comes to gripping is super essential though. So if you have any questions about the C-stand in general, how to set it up, even just how to break it down, whatever, if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll be sure to get back to you.